You're listening to Greater Good Radio Hawaii. Please visit us online at greatergoodradio.com. Today's guest is Walter Dods, retired CEO of First Hawaiian Bank and current chairman of the board for BancWest Corporation and First Hawaiian Bank. Mr. Dods has also been awarded in his career several titles such as Outstanding Young Man of America from Hawaii, St. Louis High School's Outstanding Alumnus Award, and Hawaii's Distinguished Citizen by Boy Scouts of America.
So, Mr. Dods, you started off in marketing. A lot of people that are leading banks start off in finance. Do you think that starting off in marketing was an advantage?
Yeah, I do. In the entire country, there were at that time around 11,000 banks, and of the top 100 banks, which we became, there were only two marketing types. The rest were all financial, either lenders or financial types running the banks. But the world was starting to change, and people wanted more open communications. They wanted more transparency. They wanted to understand products better. So having a marketing background was helpful, but you did need to learn the business. And although I tease myself and say I'm a marketing person, I ultimately learned the business pretty well. One of my great points of pride to this day is I was the creator of The Bank That Says Yes, my first advertising campaign at the bank in 1969.
Wow. So, as a member of this community, born and raised here, went to school here, what's your perspective on people saying that if you want to really make it big, you need to go to the mainland?
Well, I obviously don't believe that, although I do believe a mainland experience is wonderful, and I think the parents in Hawaii who can afford to send their children away should, for some point, whether it be college or after college or whatever, because I think that's a wonderful experience to have, but you can do it without it, and it shouldn't stand in your way. Hard work, a good attitude, working with others, teamwork, a lot of other things come into play. My dad was born on the Big Island in Kohala, but his father died young, so he went from working on the sugar plantation one day to an orphanage in Hilo the next, and he grew up and graduated from Hilo High School after going through an orphanage. I was the oldest of 7 kids. We had nothing, but we had a family of love, and even at that point, my dad believed that we needed to give back to the community, so I never felt that you couldn't make it just by being local.
So what was the most important things that you learned from your father as you're growing up that helped you in your business career today?
I learned that compassion, love, teamwork were very, very important. Loyalty and integrity right up at the top. My father, getting out of the orphanage, came to Honolulu, was a police sergeant for about 40 years. And I've talked to many people, even up to today, and they tell me, I remember your dad, his handshake was good, and he always was a man of his word, and he loved what he was doing, he loved the community. And you learn those things early in life, and especially when you give your word, it's got to count for something. And in banking, of course, and when you ultimately ended up heading the largest company in Hawaii, people, it means a lot that your word is good.
Where was your first CEO position?
My first CEO position was at the bank. As I said, I started as an office boy, worked up, but that was my first CEO position. And I was blessed to take the bank from a $3 billion bank to now our entire combined holding company is $65 billion. It's in the top 15 in America, largest Hawaii bank and the largest and most profitable company in Hawaii.
So knowing where you started when they offered you that CEO position, what was your reaction?
Well, early on, of course, I never thought I'd ever get to that level, but by the time it happened, I think I was fairly ready for it, although one of my mentors and the CEO at the time, Johnny Bellinger, was also a local boy who had a high school education at Roosevelt High School. I was lucky I went to St. Louis. Have to get that plug in. He died suddenly of a stroke, and that was a little traumatic, and I wish I would have had a little more time to prepare for the job, so I wouldn't say I was totally ready. But again, throughout my whole career, I always felt like running scared and taking a job just a little bit above where you think you're going to be would work, and it did work. The first year was a pretty brutal year, but it worked out. The team rallied around. We had a wonderful team and still have a wonderful team, and the rest is history.
So how does that work then? If he had already designated that you would be the next CEO and then you were being groomed?
Well, I had become president about 5 years early. I wasn't designated as the next CEO per se, but I was the number 2 man in the bank and the most logical person to take the job. But the board of directors still had to decide whether they wanted me or not, and they did choose me.
So, you were working your way up from the bottom up, like you had mentioned, and you didn't have all those big goals that you had aspired about, or you didn't say you didn't. At the same time, you kept hitting these high positions. When you were taking on these leadership positions, did you feel that you possessed these, leadership type of traits?
Well, people tell me I do, but I never felt that way. I just wanted to accomplish something, and I found that if you worked with others, it's amazing what you can get done if you don't want to take the credit for it. And I just put teams together along the way. I always try to find the smartest people. Never, ever was afraid of finding people smarter than myself. I worked at getting the smartest, brightest, hardest working people. And along the way, I found a lot of things, and I learned a lot. Number one, you don't have to be the smartest. I'll take a team player over a superstar anytime. And through my entire career, I took that kind of approach. And when people know that the team comes first and you're going to take care of your team, the miracles come every day.
It also takes a certain type of leader to attract these type of smarter and better people. What do you think is necessary to attract these good people?
Well, you got to start off by being a listener. You got to be willing to listen, and you got to be willing to accept other people's ideas. Sometimes, even if you in your heart know that your idea may be better, because if you always do it your way with your idea, you're never going to develop a team and you're never going to grow an organization. You have to have mutual respect. They have to feel like their ideas are being listened to and that they have a chance to make something happen. And once they buy into where you want to go and they know that they're part of that team, magic things happen.
Thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned for more on Greater Good Radio.